Hello everyone, welcome back. Something huge is happening in Crimea, and Russia is quietly losing its grip. In this video, we'll reveal why Crimea is slipping out of Russia's control, and what it means for the world. Stay tuned, because this is shocking. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Crimea, the strategic peninsula in the Black Sea, has long been a point of tension between Russia and Ukraine. Officially annexed by Russia in 2014, the region has been under Moscow's control for nearly a decade. However, recent developments indicate a gradual shift, and many experts believe Russia's grip may be weakening. This is not just a military or political story. It is also economic, social, and strategic. From increasing Ukrainian attacks to logistical difficulties, sanctions, and local unrest, multiple factors are creating cracks in Russia's control. Today, we will examine all of these aspects in detail, breaking down why Crimea might slowly be slipping away. By understanding these factors, viewers can see the bigger picture behind headlines and news flashes. The implications of losing control over Crimea are significant for Russia, Ukraine, and global geopolitics. Crimea's strategic location, ports, and military facilities make it vital for Black Sea dominance. Losing influence here would be both a symbolic and strategic blow. In this video, we will also explore how the international community is responding, why Russia is struggling internally, and what this means for the future of Eastern Europe. Stay with us as we uncover the key reasons behind this shift in power. One of the main reasons Crimea is slipping from Russia's control is economic strain. Russia faces immense costs maintaining the peninsula, including military operations, infrastructure upkeep, and public services. Sanctions imposed over the years have limited trade, restricted financial access, and increased inflation, affecting Crimea's economy. Local businesses are struggling, tourism has sharply declined, and residents are facing shortages in essential goods. These economic pressures reduce Moscow's ability to sustain its presence effectively. Additionally, the cost of rebuilding and maintaining military bases, roads, bridges, and utilities has skyrocketed. Resources that could support governance and development are instead diverted to military and security needs. Russian authorities have attempted to offset these challenges through subsidies, but these measures are insufficient to stabilize the region. The ongoing economic challenges create dissatisfaction among local populations, reducing support for Russian administration. This dissatisfaction can eventually translate into resistance or reduce cooperation, further weakening control. International trade restrictions also mean that necessary equipment and goods are harder to obtain, slowing economic recovery and making governance increasingly difficult. In summary, economic strain is a key factor in the slow erosion of Russia's control over Crimea, making it one of the most pressing challenges Moscow faces in maintaining influence in the region. Military challenges are another critical factor, contributing to the weakening of Russia's control over Crimea. Although the peninsula remains heavily militarized, Russia faces increasing threats from Ukrainian forces and ongoing logistical challenges. Ukrainian operations, including precise attacks on supply lines, bases, and key infrastructure, are forcing Russia to redirect troops and resources constantly. The presence of drones, advanced reconnaissance, and modern artillery has made Crimea harder to defend than ever before. Additionally, morale among Russian forces reportedly remains low, affecting operational efficiency. The region's geography, with long coastlines and multiple vulnerable points, further complicates defense strategies. Russia's military cannot secure every key facility simultaneously, leaving gaps that Ukraine may exploit. Furthermore, maintaining a large military presence is expensive and resource-intensive, contributing to the economic strain previously discussed. Training, transport, and supply chain issues exacerbate these challenges, creating vulnerabilities in the peninsula's defenses. The combination of constant Ukrainian pressure, logistical difficulties, and stretched military resources is weakening Russia's ability to maintain full control over Crimea. Analysts suggest that if these challenges persist, the military balance in Crimea may gradually shift, creating openings for Ukraine or other influencing factors to change the status quo. Thus, military challenges are a major contributor to the peninsula slipping out of Russian control. Another reason Crimea is slipping from Russian control is growing local unrest and dissatisfaction. Residents in Crimea face challenges, including limited economic opportunities, high living costs, and restricted freedoms. Some communities feel disconnected from Moscow's governance and policies, creating a sense of alienation. Local protests, complaints, and acts of civil resistance have been reported, signaling that not all residents are fully supportive of Russian administration. Social media and information networks also amplify awareness of problems, making it harder for authorities to maintain absolute control. Additionally, demographic shifts in population movement can influence loyalty and public sentiment. Younger generations, who may have grown up under occupation, often express frustration or seek alternatives, which can erode long-term compliance. Local unrest complicates Russia's governance, as authorities must focus not only on military and security issues, but also on public sentiment. Addressing economic, social, and political grievances becomes essential to prevent further weakening of control. If dissatisfaction grows unchecked, it may contribute to protests, defections, or passive resistance, all of which can gradually undermine Moscow's authority. Analysts believe that managing local unrest is becoming increasingly difficult, especially as external pressures from Ukraine and the international community continue. Therefore, public dissatisfaction and local unrest represent a silent yet powerful factor in Crimea's changing status. International pressure also plays a major role in weakening Russia's hold over Crimea. Countries worldwide, including members of the European Union, the United States, and NATO, have continuously condemned the annexation of Crimea. Diplomatic pressure, sanctions, and political isolation create external constraints that affect Russia's ability to fully manage the region. These measures target key industries, banking systems, and individuals, increasing the cost of governance in Crimea. International monitoring and reporting highlight human rights violations, economic struggles, and military activities, drawing global attention. This attention limits Russia's options and increases accountability, indirectly empowering Ukraine and its allies. International pressure also discourages investment, reduces trade, and affects supply chains, contributing to economic difficulties. Additionally, the presence of international media and observers in neighboring regions makes covert operations harder to conduct without scrutiny. Over time, these external pressures amplify internal challenges, including economic strain, military overextension, and local unrest. Experts argue that without a reduction in international pressure, Crimea's stability under Russia will remain fragile. Diplomatic isolation, economic sanctions, and global monitoring all contribute to the slow erosion of control, making international pressure a key factor in understanding why Crimea is slowly slipping away from Russia's grasp. Strategic vulnerabilities in Crimea are another factor contributing to Russia's weakening control. The peninsula's geography, with long coastlines, critical ports, and key military installations, makes it difficult to defend comprehensively. Ukraine has identified and exploited these vulnerabilities with targeted strikes on infrastructure, supply lines, and military assets. Naval access through the Black Sea is also contested, limiting Russia's ability to transport supplies and reinforcements efficiently. Bridges, roads, and communication networks are at constant risk, affecting both military operations and civilian life. The terrain and proximity to Ukrainian-controlled territories make constant surveillance necessary, stretching Russia's resources further. Additionally, strategic choke points are often exposed to attacks, requiring heavy security and continuous monitoring. Maintaining dominance over all key points simultaneously is virtually impossible without overextending military forces. Analysts argue that such vulnerabilities create opportunities for Ukraine and its allies to apply pressure, indirectly weakening Russian authority. The combination of exposed critical infrastructure, logistical bottlenecks, and proximity to active conflict zones amplifies the challenge of maintaining complete control. Russia's strategic vulnerabilities in Crimea make the region increasingly difficult to manage effectively, contributing to its gradual slipping from Moscow's grasp. Political challenges also play a crucial role in Crimea's slipping control. Internally, Russia faces the difficulty of maintaining loyalty among local officials, administrators, and security personnel. Conflicting priorities, corruption, and inefficiencies hinder governance and weaken public confidence. Externally, Ukraine's government and international allies continue diplomatic campaigns, pushing for Crimea's reintegration under international law. Political tensions create uncertainty, as policy changes and sanctions directly affect the region's administration. Local leaders may struggle to implement Moscow's directives effectively, while residents often face confusion or distrust. Elections, governance policies, and public initiatives are closely monitored by both domestic populations and international observers, limiting flexibility for Russian authorities. This political friction affects everything from public service delivery to military coordination. Political challenges are compounded by growing unrest, economic strain, and military pressures. The inability to address these issues promptly undermines credibility and control, creating openings for Ukrainian influence and international pressure. Experts note that, without strong political stability, long-term control over Crimea becomes increasingly fragile. Political challenges, therefore, represent a core reason why the peninsula is gradually slipping from Russian authority, highlighting the complex interplay of internal and external factors that shape Crimea's future. Technological and intelligence pressures also weaken Russia's control over Crimea. Modern surveillance, drones, satellite monitoring, and cyber capabilities allow Ukraine and its allies to track movements, intercept communications, and target critical infrastructure. These technologies reduce Russia's ability to operate covertly, making defense and administration more complex. Cyber attacks can disrupt logistics, communications, and even civilian services, affecting daily life and military efficiency. Intelligence leaks, defections, or local cooperation with Ukrainian efforts can amplify vulnerabilities. Additionally, social media and digital communication platforms inform the public about developments, reducing Moscow's ability to control narratives. Technological advancements have turned Crimea into a high-risk zone where operational mistakes are more easily exposed and exploited. The reliance on outdated or vulnerable systems can make Russian forces predictable, allowing Ukrainian strategies to succeed. Intelligence pressure increases stress on military personnel, administrators, and political leaders, reducing their effectiveness. Over time, this constant surveillance and monitoring make Crimea harder to control comprehensively. Experts emphasize that technological and intelligence factors are silent yet powerful contributors to the gradual erosion of Russian authority in the region, making them a key reason for Crimea's slipping control. Diplomatic isolation is another major factor affecting Russia's hold over Crimea. Since the annexation in 2014, Russia has faced condemnation from most of the international community. Many nations refuse to recognize Crimea as Russian territory, leading to political, economic, and trade restrictions. Diplomatic isolation limits Moscow's ability to gain allies or negotiate effectively, increasing pressure on its administration of the peninsula. International organizations and media closely monitor activities in Crimea, highlighting human rights concerns, economic struggles, and military developments. This global scrutiny creates accountability and restricts covert operations. Isolation also affects investment, as companies and countries hesitate to engage economically with Crimea, reducing growth and development prospects. Limited diplomatic support forces Russia to rely heavily on internal resources, which are already stretched by sanctions, military commitments, and local unrest. Over time, diplomatic isolation amplifies other internal and external pressures, weakening governance and control. Analysts note that, without improvement in diplomatic relations, Crimea's status will remain fragile, and Moscow's grip will continue to erode. Diplomatic isolation, therefore, acts as a compounding factor alongside economic strain, military challenges, local unrest, and international pressure, making Crimea increasingly difficult for Russia to fully control. Finally, the future of Crimea depends on how these multiple factors interact. Economic strain, military challenges, local unrest, international pressure, strategic vulnerabilities, political difficulties, intelligence exposure, and diplomatic isolation all contribute to the gradual slipping of Crimea from Russian control. Analysts suggest that if these pressures continue, Crimea could become increasingly contested, with uncertain outcomes for Russia, Ukraine, and the broader region. The situation is dynamic, and small changes in military or political strategy could have major impacts. For viewers, understanding these developments is essential for following global geopolitics and anticipating future shifts. What happens in Crimea could affect energy routes, military strategy, and international relations for years to come. If you want to stay updated on these developments, subscribe to our channel, like the video, and hit the bell icon. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Russia can maintain control over Crimea? Or is the region slowly returning to Ukraine's influence? Your engagement helps us bring more in-depth analysis and breaking news to you. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the latest updates on global conflicts and geopolitical shifts. Don't forget to like, share, and comment.